Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the PHNX Suns Podcast. I'm Lindsay. That's Gerald. That's Espo. That's Flex, guys. Y'all
What
miss
up,
Flex?
people?
He's back.
He's back.
I'm gonna move like this.
No
because
pun
Flex
intended.
can't.
I'm back.
He's back. He's back. He's not.
Flex is dying.
Well, I think it's funny though. He not that you're hurting, but did he tell you how it happened?
Are we allowed to know?
We have a whole sock conversation last week, and this man throws out his back putting on a sock.
No.
But I need
You're
to.
serious?
I need to know. Were you going sock and shoe, and then were you going to go another sock and a shoe, or do you go both socks and you just hurt yourself on sock number
No, it was
one?
one at a time. I was going sock, left foot, bent over, try to get the sock over. I just felt it. Came back up, and it was like,
This
boom.
was the first sock.
First sock.
Damn.
You didn't even get to the second
yeah,
sock.
Yeah, second one took a long
That's
time.
That's
You're
right.
gonna have to follow Lindsay's advice of just lay on the floor and then get up. As that's her workout.
Is that what you do?
No, I was just telling you, when you guys get old, one of the things that you guys,
Thanks
not
for
all of
reminding
us.
me,
We're here.
Lynn.
As people age, one of the hardest things one of the things they lose the fastest is the ability to get up off the ground, which is why you have like the life alert type things, because older people will fall over and they're unable to get themselves up. So one of the best things you can do for yourself as you start to get older in life is lay on the ground and then get back up, and then lay back on the ground and get up, so you keep the
Okay.
mobility.
She said practice for
I
your
think
life.
that
alert.
invention we're trying to do, Lens, maybe some sock, way to put on a sock without bending over.
Maybe
you
we
go.
can make that happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome in,
called
everybody.
a
We hope
nurse
you had a wonderful weekend. Yes, it is Vetmin Monday, the official first Vetmin Monday of the off season.
Okay, I got to stop you right there.
What?
Eric, hit it. Vet Minimum Monday, Vet Minimum Monday, Vet Minimum Monday, Vet Minimum Monday.
So you're just stealing my bit?
Okay, I love that he had to throw in applause at the end and cheers.
I didn't do
I
anything.
didn't get anything.
Hey, that was all Eric. Eric
Okay.
just loved my performance so much that he had
Okay.
to put some applause,
It was-
or he knows my ego is so fragile that he had to do something to help me out. So.
Oh my god.
That's great though.
I mean, listen, we did need a little jingle.
We did.
to accompany Vetmin Monday, but you're gonna have to wait, because we do have a weekend roundup of things on the internet we have to talk about first. So first and foremost, Gerald tweeted out in his latest newsletter, the Steinline mentioned that Mike Budenholzer tried to convince Darvin Ham to join the Suns coaching staff, but he, quote, understandably passed after 2 exacting seasons in, quote, Lakerland.
This is interesting to me, and I know a lot of people kind of wonder about this, and I'm not even 100% sure that when a coach gets fired before the end of their contract is over, they are not owed what's left on their contract if they go and take another job elsewhere. So I'd imagine that this plays a factor into not being on Mike Budenholzer's staff, because Darvin Ham has a ton of experience with Bud, and you would imagine that, you know, if a head coaching job didn't open up, that he would be willing. But if it's all about the money, then that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of times that's what it comes down to. You got a guy that was fired. He's owed that money. There are regulations as to how that works out when you get another coaching job. And for those reasons, rightfully so, you get some, and a lot of times there's a little bit of a decompression these coaches go through. It's a very stressful job, and sometimes it's cool to just say, "Hey, man, I've earned this contract. I've earned a year off. Let me decompress and see what happens." So I think a lot of that played into it.
Reading the newsletter too, it kind of felt like the implication was the fact that, you know, he had been in LA, and that is it. 2 years in La La Land is probably like 5 for a regular coach, right?
Yeah.
That ages you a little bit. So it's probably a factor of he's exhausted from the crap he had to take in that time, the money. Why not consider taking a year off? I think it had less to do with the Phoenix Suns and Mike Budenholzer and a hell of a lot more to do with Darvin Ham. But I put the tinfoil hat on, and hello, I was going here. Anyways, he probably got read in on what the big plans this summer were and said, I already dealt with LeBron. I'm out. And that was a big reason why as well. So
we got to get your tinfoil hat back.
It's hanging in the office.
In the Hall of Fame.
Well, I think you need to start wearing it more often. I mean, listen, as tinfoil hatty as that is, that's the funniest joke of them all.
It is.
It really is. But yes, Gerald, to your point, he might just either want a year off or some time off to do whatever it is he wants to do. And the money could definitely play a factor in that.
Yeah.
Also, he may be coming next year because he knows LeBron's just a 1-year thing. So he said, I'll take my money from the Lakers. I'll join you next year
There you go.
when Bron's gone.
Exactly. You get your cake and eat it too. Then we also got another update from Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype. They tweeted out the Phoenix Suns are adding Jason Allen as an assistant coach to Coach Bud's staff, league sources told Hoop Hypes. Allen was previously the head coach of the Wisconsin Herd, the G League affiliate for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Why do we do this guy dirty with the photo? What?
No, man.
He's like, my hand's weird. My eyes are half closed. Look at this. I'm the new assistant coach, and this is the first look you're getting at me in Phoenix. I blame the producer on that one.
Better picture.
I will. He was the head coach of the G League team. I'm pretty sure there are some.
Yeah, I mean, it's
That's my analysis.
I was going to say.
What else do you want?
Great.
no. I was gonna say no. Forget it. Man. Yeah, okay, y'all crazy.
I mean, honestly, everyone was sounds like everything that I've read. Great guy, good coach, no red flags.
Yeah, he's got the background in player development, which several of the coaches that they've added now have that. So I am kind of interested to see if that has any bearing on the approach that they take this summer. But if you look at his record as the 2 seasons in charge of the Herd, they weren't great, but you can't really judge a G League coach by that based on whatever talent he's given there. So at least it's someone that Bud is somewhat familiar with. I don't know if he ever served directly on Budenholzer's staff. It looks like he kind of went from school in the ACC to the Capital City Go-Go and then wound up with the Herd. But he's got good experience in the player development department, which is good.
I don't buy it. If you can't win with a third string, Antetokounmpo brother, you can't make it. I also wonder, do you bring in a guy with G League head coaching experience too that can help set up the bridge between the Suns and the Valley Suns? You know, so because he has that experience with it, so that could play into it.
That's kind of what I felt when I saw it. To Gerald's point, the player development. Having a 22nd pick is interesting. It depends on what they do with that. But if you got a good player development guy and you're going to start to use the draft as a way to kind of refill your cup, this is a good hire. And then the G League Valley Suns, another good bridge. So makes a lot of sense as you're familiar with Bud. So makes a lot of sense.
Dagoon says we have no players to develop. That's not true, Dagoon. We're going to get a G League squad. We're going to fill that roster up with players to develop. We're going to take somebody with the 22nd pick this year in the draft. That
David
person
Roddy
will
erasure.
develop.
This is the Bronny
Somebody will
whisperer,
be there.
all right?
Somebody will be there. That's for sure. Somebody will be there.
But it is good to have, because that is something that a lot of people talked about before the Suns got rid of their previous G League team, is that it's almost impossible to utilize that as an asset if it's not close in proximity.
Right.
Even something like Prescott Valley was too far away at times for the Suns. But you have other G League affiliates that were in literally different states.
Yeah.
You need them close by, and you need the systems to be almost the exact same so that players who do go up and down or who are on two-way contracts have that continuity back and forth.
Can we make a deal whenever we reference the old G League team, can we say the team that the disgraced former owner sold for $3 million?
Bro, you barely could get that out.
Yeah.
You think I can?
You're the professional, yes.
But, like, that's your thing, though. And
Fine.
like,
Just say
no
the
way.
team that the old regime sold for $3 million. Like
that one guy got rid of for a couple dollars.
That still blows my
Development be
mind
damned.
that he did that. It's mind blowing to
It's
think
embarrassing.
that you got people that were doing that, not people that were doing that, a person that did that. I remember from afar, like analyzing that, and it felt very strange that an owner of a professional basketball team for $3 million, it's mind blowing.
because the Mrs. former disgraced owner of the Phoenix Suns needed a new handbag that she carried the mid-level exception home in. Remember
And
that?
it was
That's a throwback joke to the last
And-
lockout.
yo, my man's on fire. It was $3 million, right? It was $3 million.
Yeah, I think it was right around there. What he said in the negotiations during the last lockout, 2011, that he would take home the mid-level exception in his wife's purse. Was the supposed quote that happened in one of the negotiation sessions.
What?
So, yeah.
What a gem he was.
Why? I have recall for some really stupid things from that
No,
time
that's
period. But there you go.
Sheesh.
And then we also got, we'll start with listen. These next ones are so funny to me.
Mhm.
Katie in the club and the lab working on his game at both places, y'all. Not Katie out here working on his game in the club.
I love it.
You want to talk about commitment?
I'm just like, did he? First off, good on him. Go have fun, right? I have no problem. It's your off season.
Yeah.
Go to the club.
Do
I
whatever
don't
you
care.
want.
Have
Yeah.
fun. I just wondered, is it like a PTSD thing where you hear music like that and you just assume it's warm-ups and you just go straight in to your warm-up form? What is that? Or is that like a hot new dance craze I don't know about because I'm a 40-year-old white guy? I don't know.
It's the basketball equivalent of when like an old man out of nowhere just like takes his golf swing just cause. Like
Yeah.
that's his habit. Like he's just like
I
get some
think
shots up real quick imaginarily.
Lindsay, tell
Can
him
I
tell him
just-
what it is.
No, I just want to read some of the comments under the tweet. Can I
Go
read
for
some
Tell
of
him
the
what it
comments?
is, Lindsay. Go ahead.
Oh my God, you guys, the comments made me laugh more than this actual video. Somebody said his shooting motion is his dance move.
Yep.
I can't even read some of these. They're so funny. Somebody said AI generated human being. Low key, maybe a little bit. Somebody said that's how Katie asked for another shot.
That's my favorite.
There you go. I like
Jab
that.
step in the club is devious. Like, Katie's just out here living his best life. I'm not even mad at it.
The next time I'm in a bar and need a shot, I'm gonna do that and see if it works.
You should. I mean, honestly,
Gee.
it's not a bad way to
not.
like signal to
Gee.
your bartender,
Yeah, I
like,
kinda
hey,
like
this
it.
is what I'm looking for here.
Everywhere we go at night during summer league, I am pulling that move out. I'm just going to do the Katie jab step shot anywhere we go where it's a bar or club vibe in Vegas. I'm just doing it.
Jab step, everything.
Oh yeah.
He had a
Oh my
little
God.
fadeaway to it too.
I'll drop
In the video, he looked like he was fading a little bit,
I'm
man.
gonna
It
hurt
was
my back like
impeccable.
Flex.
Form was impeccable. Give me that 1942.
Honestly, and then there were so many comments of being like, that's how committed he is. That's how you know he's going to be playing this game for another 10 years.
Mhm.
Out here so committed, working on your game in the club.
Here's what I want to know.
Love
I want
to
to know
see
how
it.
many shots of Don Julio it takes before you get into that.
Till you get to that
How many
mode.
before you get into straight up jump shot mode at the bar? I gotta figure that out.
When you're Kevin Durant, I don't think it takes any. You're Kevin.
You think that's
motherfucking
right from the
Durant.
door? You think
You
he
can
just
go do
walked
whatever.
in?
Devin laid in a bathtub in a club.
He sure
like,
did.
I
He
mean,
sure
he
did.
did.
He sure
Which
did.
I also thought was hilarious.
That
anything
shit
goes
was
in a
comedy.
club. When you're an NBA superstar, anything
You
goes.
do
in a
whatever you
club.
want. I mean, listen, don't you remember
Well,
what was
not
he
any.
tweeting about last time he was in the club? Watching like the History Channel or the Discovery Channel?
Who?
KD, you don't remember that?
Oh, I don't.
I love
It was
that.
like one of his greatest tweets.
I don't
Really?
remember that.
Yeah, he's tweeted out something like, I'm in the club watching the Discovery Channel, and then went on some like little something. Katie and the club and Twitter are goated.
I love it.
Like
Okay.
it works
love
out
it.
so perfect. What is it?
I think I found it here. It's loading.
What he said.
It's loading very slowly. It's a few
Hurry up,
years old.
Twitter.
It said, I'm watching the History Channel in the club and I'm wondering, how do these people know what's going on the Sun? Ain't nobody ever been.
I'm telling
Ain't
you,
nobody has been on
it's the perfect storm. Kevin
That's pretty
Durant,
funny.
Twitter, and the club.
That's
I
pretty
need
funny.
more of it in my life, especially in the off season. Come on.
It's great
I'm going to
content.
tweet that from a club over in Vegas.
I'm with that, yo.
I'm going full KD in
I'm
the
with
club.
that.
There you
KD
go.
shooting jumpers, books in the tub, man. These guys, 36 unbothered for real, man.
I mean, I give credit. Go be you. Enjoy your time. You got a month before you got to get your mind right for the
Mark
Olympics.
said-
Go enjoy it.
Mark said, "Kate, what do you say?" He said, "Mark said, Katie, he said he
Fading or
fading or faded. Both. Both.
Good on him.
But listen, Katie's not just hanging out in the club. He is also in the lab. We got this photo tweeted out as well. Him and Bol and a slew of other guys all working out together this off season.
Yeah,
Love it.
I love Katie and Bol together. This
Mhm.
gives me good vibes.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed. I want
Mhm.
Bol back on this squad.
Same.
I do too.
I think this might be why he's a guy in honor of Vet Minimum Monday that might take that minimum to stay because he's getting to work with Kevin Durant and try to find that secret sauce. So I like that a lot. So Leo in the chat says, I was watching you guys while I was at the club.
Oh, I love it.
Get,
Eric said that's a terrible decision.
get a better life.
It depends on the club.
Ouch. I feel like that was just like a major burn at us, Eric. I'm kind of mad at you. I kind of feel some type of way about this. I don't know. I don't think you're going to be invited to the next event. But if you want to come to our next PHNX event,
Well done.
we've got you covered. You can get tickets over at gophnx.com. There's actually quite a few events happening right now. We told you all last week and the week prior about the Miami trip with the PHNX Cardinals crew happening in October. But if you don't want to wait that long for some fun outings with your friends here at PHNX, we also have PHNX Mercury takeovers happening as well, presented by our friends at Circle K. And just like the Suns takeovers you guys have all been a part of, pre-game party with food and drink included, lower level tickets, immaculate vibes. And of course, you can get yours over at gophnx.com. The games are on the 13th and the 26th.
I
Gonna
will
be a
be
good time.
there. I'm going to both.
Are you?
So if
Nice.
you want to hang out with me or you want to avoid me, now you know where I'll be on the 13th and the 26th. So.
There you go.
Although
There we go.
26 is going to be tough because that's a week where we got double nights of draft coverage. So that,
Well, we have one night of draft coverage and then one afternoon of draft coverage.
That's right.
well,
Can we just, for 5 seconds, not to
Yeah.
derail the conversation, we can get into this more maybe tomorrow, but
Mhm.
that's absolute booty. That's straight cheeks.
you know
That you're
why
going to have round 1 of the draft start at 5 o'clock our time, and then round 2 at 1 o'clock our time the next day. And even if you're going off East Coast time, still 4 p.m. Nobody's going to watch. That's going to get less eyeballs than if you just waited
That's
until
true.
late evening time.
To me,
Couldn't-
that screams
couldn't agree more.
they realized their mistake. They were like, "Oh no, I've made a horrible mistake." I think we're
Yeah.
going back to one night next year. I think
I
the whole
just-
reason they did it was they thought Bronny was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't even I don't get it. Like, if you're going to do 2 nights and you're just going to bury the second night, I get, okay, we realize you made a mistake, but at least try 4 p.m. Eastern. Nobody's going to be watching that.
Nobody's watching that.
Nobody's watching.
And what?
That does them more of a
That's a-
disservice.
That's a Friday, right?
No, it's a Thursday.
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 Wednesday,
Thursday.
Thursday.
4 p.m. Thursday.
Yeah.
Man,
4
ain't nobody
p.m.
watching that.
To me too, it's like, what the hell are you really showing on ESPN2 at 1 p.m.
Right.
West Coast time on a Thursday that you couldn't go? You know what? We're gonna play, or in prime time. I mean, on ESPN2 on a Thursday, you couldn't go. Hey, that 14th time we're showing that 30 for 30. Why don't we put that on hold and put the second round of the NBA draft there?
Yep.
That was a mistake.
I'm just saying. But I digress. Flex, you got a BetMGM parlay of the week for us? Anything kind of tickling your fancy on the BetMGM Sportsbook app right now?
I mean, I'm looking at the NBA Finals,
Mhm.
and I'm looking at Luka Doncic getting a little bit of rest. And I'm actually very intrigued with putting Luka to drop 30 and Mavericks to get the money line and win game 1 in Boston.
Okay.
I'm very intrigued. So that's where I'm leaning right now, guys. Dallas Mavericks money line to go on to Boston game 1, get that dub, and Luka to score 30.
I'm taking Jason Tatum to score 30 and Flex to be in traction watching game 1.
There you have it. The BetMGM parlay pick of the week. If you have not signed up for BetMGM yet, now is a great time to sign up, and make sure you sign up using the bonus code PHNX. When you use that bonus code, all you got to do is place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app of at least $10, and you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if the bet loses. You can also check out their MLB Grand Slam Jackpot. This is a weekly bet and get promotion, and all you do is place a $10 or more wager on any player to hit a home run every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if the player hits a grand slam on that day, then you can win the $50,000 daily prize or a share of the prize with every other winning bettor. You can check out the show notes for full details. And now you can listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Get stuffed, Ontario. You know they say everybody in the club getting tipsy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in Las Vegas, that stuff ain't real cheap. So I'm gonna need an extra $200 in my bank account to be able to make that happen.
Is that Chingy?
That's Chingy.
Is it? That is, right?
It is Chingy, right?
Yeah.
Was that Chingy?
Hey,
Oh, hold on. No. That's not Chingy.
That's the
No, that's not
Holiday
Chingy.
Inn. That was him, huh?
Yes, that was Chingy.
Dang, that was a banger.
That was a
Jaquan.
bang.
You know where
That was a
Jaquan
bang.
and Chingy can get a good
Tell 'em,
checking
tell 'em,
account
Usher.
Where?
for all those millions that they banked
them.
from those songs?
Sorry.
Our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union. That's right. They have been in business for 84 years in this state. That's right. Twice as much as, actually less than twice as much as Flex been alive. That'd be 88 years. But, 84
ask
years
Lindsay.
ain't bad.
Lindsay
either.
say I'm 80.
So they've been Arizona's largest and most trusted credit union. They're here to help you. They want to make your dreams come true, right? They want to help you get in that first home. They want to help you make that business that you've always dreamed of. They want to help you invest for your future or your kids' future, so they're taken care of, whether it's college or whatever they need to get done. They want to help you do that because they have the best in financial services, and they have the financial experts to help you, whether it's checking or savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. I still don't know what the more is, but I'm going to find out for you eventually. They've got you covered completely. So when you open that free checking account online, like I said, you're going to get $200 in bonuses, and you can use that wherever you want. You don't have to go to Vegas to the clubs like me and make it rain for about a half a second. You can go wherever you want and spend that how you want, but you got to open that free checking account to get that 200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200.
All right, we do have a couple super chats here. I really am not totally sure what Saint Shitbag said on this one, and I feel like I don't want to read it just in case it's one of those things where, like, if you say it out loud, it makes you sound like you're saying something else. Huh? Kalo K means what's up in some language is what Eric says? I don't know, but Flex, they're talking to you.
What up, fam?
That's a good way to
I just feel
That's what
like,
I'm
listen,
taking.
I feel like your super chats have been very fun and a little outrageous. So I just don't want to take any risks on it. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, it's Dominican.
That's
All right.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Okay.
So he said, Saint Shitbag says, Flex, de lo mio, Kalo K.
Okay.
It's like of mine.
Yeah.
Like Flex, one of mine, one of my people.
Yeah.
My
there
fam.
we go.
Yep, so
Okay,
there we go.
perfect.
Love
Look, he
it.
was being all nice, and I was worried
Love
that he
it.
was being all mean.
I appreciate you protecting
Terrible.
me.
Psycho Blue sent us one as well, and they said, Espo supporting the Celtics now. Mavs got this in the bag. City of Boston, you're welcome.
Look, last series proved that the Espo jinx is not real. A fun fact that you all don't know, or you might, I was born in Boston, so I'm rooting for the Celtics.
You were born in
I
Boston?
was. So I'm rooting for the Celtics because selfishly, I want them to have more titles than the Lakers. So, just because I don't like the Lakers. So there you go. That's who I'm rooting for.
Okay.
All right. Vet Minimum Monday. You want to play the jingle again?
Vet
Minimum Monday. Vet Minimum Monday. Vet Minimum Monday. Vet Minimum Monday.
I love
Your
the
plug.
the Blues Clues vibes to it.
Totally. That is what it
We
gives.
just got a letter.
You nailed it, dog.
I wonder
You
who
nailed
it's
it.
from or what it
You
says. I
nailed
don't know
it.
which one it is. All right. So Gerald took a deep dive on Vet Minimum Monday, the first edition of this fun little off-season exercise. And these ones are, listen, they're pie in the sky, as Gerald likes to call them, because sure, there's a possibility, but the likelihood of them happening is probably on the lower end of things. However, we're only going to go through a handful here, and there are plenty more over at gophnx.com in Gerald's article. So after this show ends, you should go read that.
Mm-hmm.
You got any disclaimers on this one?
Yeah.
You always do.
I always do. Trust me, guys. No one is more disappointed in me for writing 5,000 words on 20 different free agency targets that the Suns are probably not going to get than I am. But I do think it's instructive in terms of I have gotten questions on a lot of these guys that we're going to go through about what are the odds the Suns could get this guy? How could they get this guy? We wanted to make sure that we're very transparent because we have a lot of time to kill before July. We want to make sure that you know who's realistic, who is not, the various reasons why. But we're also looking at these players because we feel like they could bring something to the table and would be good Suns fits. And come free agency, you never know whose market is going to disappear based on who signs where. So I don't think most of these guys are going to be in a Suns uniform for a vet minimum. I'm not going to lie to you, but there are a couple as we get near the end, especially that could be somewhat realistic and not impossible. But I do think it's a useful exercise. And in the coming weeks, we'll get more serious about, vet minimum bigs, wings, guards that would be a good fit on this team as well.
Can I make a request?
Sure.
Can you please lie to me?
Lie to you about what? Yeah.
About all these guys today.
No, Espo.
I could use some help.
I mean, the words are already on the page, but we can.
I don't read, Gerald, so just talk to me.
All right. Well, let's start off by looking at Tyus Jones. This past season, he averaged 12 points per game, 7.3 assists, 2.7 rebounds, shot 48.9% from the field and 41.4% from deep. Point guard.
For real.
And he managed to do it in those god-awful District of Columbia jerseys, too.
So Tyus is a guy that I included because a lot of people have asked about him. He's like a starting caliber point guard, but a lot of teams would see him more as a backup. I think he's going to be in store for a pretty nice payday somewhere. Yeah. Some team is going to need a point guard that will be able to offer more than the vet minimum like the Suns can offer. But he's kind of ideal if you're looking at the Suns offense and saying, wow, we really need to cut down on turnovers, because Tyus Jones is one of the lowest turnover starting point guards in the league. He averaged 1 turnover a game last season, which was the worst mark of his entire career, averaging 1 a game. He had the highest assist to turnover ratio in the league among qualified players. So he's really good at orchestrating offense, about cutting down on turnovers. And he's also pretty good. He could play off the ball next to the big three as well, because I think he shot 42% on catch and shoot threes. So fit wise, he would make sense. My biggest problem is A, he's not going to get the vet minimum this summer.
Correct.
And B, he's also a little bit undersized. He's 6'1", he's 196 pounds. And I wrote about this in my article. Yes, NBA.com's tracking data is a little wonky, but opponents shot 7% better when he was defending them last season. And the Wizards, who had the 3rd worst defensive rating in the league, were actually 3 points per 100 possessions worse when he was on the floor. Mm-hmm. So defensively, a little bit of a liability in that way.
I love him. I always have. I think, G, you nailed it. He's a starting caliber point guard. Unequivocally would be the best backup point guard in the whole league. And he did that for quite some time with Memphis. Mm-hmm. And we saw numerous times with Memphis when Ja would go out and he would just step in and they wouldn't miss a beat. But I think when we talk about this guy, this is a full mid-level guy. This is a guy that's going to get, I think, $12 million plus a year.
Well, yeah, his last contract was 2 years, $29 million.
There you go. There you go. So I think he's way out of our range. Now, if we weren't talking money and we didn't have all these restrictions, that would be my dream guy. I've always loved him. I've been fascinated with him. And the assist to turnover ratio is not something new. He's been doing this for quite some time. He's literally one of the best in the world when it comes to assist to turnover ratio. So great guy, just don't think he's anywhere near our range.
So I'm just thinking about how do the Suns even walk in a room with a guy like this and a couple of the guys that we're going to talk about and try to sell them on the idea of a vet minimum contract, because I think it was a little easier last year potentially because you're dealing in hypotheticals, right? Everybody thought, oh, this could be the next two-time defending champ. They could come in here and really shake things up and be the last of the great big threes potentially. Yeah, we were hearing that last off season, so you could make that sale a little bit. But right now, I don't feel like you have any sales pitch outside of you want to play with Katie and Book, and you hope that that's enough that some guy might go, you know what, for 1 year, maybe I'll do that. But I don't think a guy that's still trying to go out there and get his bag buys into that, right?
I mean, it's that plus the idea of potentially trying to sell them on more future, right?
Yeah.
If you do the same thing you did last year where it's a 2-year deal, 1 year guaranteed, player option the second year, now we're looking at summer 2026, right? And isn't that the summer that everything is exciting again and you could be a part of that?
That's true.
I don't know. I'm just saying, if you're a salesperson and that's what you're trying to do, that's where you go, because that's what you have to go to.
My biggest bargaining chip for the Suns, when you're having these awkward conversations with guys that you know you can't afford, is to sit them down and show them as much tape as I can on Grayson Allen. That's what I'm doing.
Here's how you can make your money.
Here's how you can make your money. Here's how you can go from a guy that's a mid-level guy to a $20 million a year guy. In the system with these guys, if you come here and you capitalize on it, is it worth doing that for 1 year? 1 year risk to try to bet on yourself. I wouldn't be shocked if there are a handful of players that would consider that. Do they actually do it? But I mean,
that's a good point that I didn't think of. Is you could maximize that next deal by coming in here and maybe having an easier path to having a greater success, like you saw with Grayson. I just think that's a tough sell. It's not like, if James Jones came in and did the Pat Riley drop the rings on the table thing, I don't think it works the same way as Pat Riley.
But it's also like the same way that teams will look at a player who's gone through a couple different stops. Be like, oh, but in our system, with my guidance, maybe this guy can take the next step forward. Yeah. Maybe it's the same way on the opposite side. You're like, well, your roster last year that you filled out with those Vetmans, they're not on my level. I can bring more to you. I can actually help you win a championship with Katie and Book on my squad.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing out.
No, I get it. The problem is, like, if you sign any of these guys on a 1 year vet minimum deal, you can't then turn around and have their rights to sign them to a lot more the next summer.
Yeah.
So you're basically saying we're going to boost your value for this year and someone else will give you your payday next summer, or you're just here for a while on a vet minimum. That's kind of your fate now. Yeah. So again, Tyus Jones is going to get the bag from somebody. The Wizards could re-sign him. A team that needs a point guard like the Magic or the Spurs that have cap space, they could come calling for him. I don't think it's going to happen, but he is a guy that would take the ball out of the big three's hands in terms of orchestrating the offense. But when they do have the ball, he could also be a spot-up shooter as well. Really good organizer. And he is a guy that I've gotten a lot of questions about, so I wanted to bring him up off the top.
All right, next up on the list, we have Nick Claxton, averaged 11.8 points per game, 2.1 assists per game, 9.9 rebounds, 2.1 blocks per game, shooting 62.9% from the field.
And played Zorro in a movie.
He's only 25, so there's a lot of room to grow there still.
Man, he's kind of like the ideal fit for me at center. He's a switchable defender on the perimeter. He's a good rim protector. He's athletic. He's got bounce as a pick and roll guy. He's set really good screens. I think he was in the 90-something percentile in terms of screen assists this year. Like he would be the ideal fit for me with this Suns roster at that center spot, but he's going to sign for like 80, 90, 100 million this summer. So it's just not happening, but he's another guy I got questions about too.
Yeah. He's in a perfect world again, where you have no restrictions. You chase the hell out of that kind of guy with this roster. Unfortunately, thanks to CJ McCollum and the Players Association. We don't have any of that flexibility. So
we will forever be mad at CJ McCollum.
One of my favorite. That's literally one of my favorite young bigs in the whole league.
Yeah, same.
I've always loved his game, but Gerald nailed it. This kid, and rightfully so. God bless him. He's played hard. He's done the right thing. He's gonna get $100 million. I really do think he's gonna get $100 million. So, yeah, unless there's some
maybe
secret.
2026.
Yeah,
maybe then.
I'm gonna say this. Hello said I need percentage on how likely they are to sign. These first two guys are about as likely to sign as me dunking on a 10-foot hoop at Summer League. So
we did tell you at the top.
Zero.
These were more pie in the sky.
Doesn't matter. I won't be.
Right.
And while they're pie in the sky, it's important to talk about them though, because they, like Gerald said, these names do get brought up oftentimes in conversations or on social media. People just wanting to know what the possibility is or what it would take to get a guy like this. So that's why we're going through it.
Yes, and I appreciate it because I get these same questions, and now I can just send the link to the article and say, here you go.
To my thesis song.
Next up, we've got D'Anthony Melton, averaged 11.1 points per game, 3 assists, 3.7 rebounds, 38.5% from the field, and 36% from deep. He did deal with a lot of injuries this season that limited him to just 38 games. But D'Anthony Melton, come on home.
I would love this. Man, that picture of him, he looks like he's like
Older?
55 years old.
Yeah,
he doesn't look that old.
He does.
He looks pretty. This
He
looks
looks like
a
Jawan Howard coaching the
Eric
Michigan.
is just really good at picking
It looks like a
bad
photo of a
pictures.
guy in the NBA from like the 80s.
You know what
It
that looks like?
does.
I was gonna say that. You know what that looks like? That looks like the retired player that's playing in the Big Three.
Right.
You know what
He
it
looks
looks
like an actor.
It looks like how Eddie Johnson thinks he looks.
Oh, Bert.
Which is it's crazy because he's only 26. But
Yeah.
no, I mean I would love Melton back. He did deal with the back issue for most of the year that pretty much took him out for the second half of the season. But in terms of guards that would fit with this group, because he's got the size, because he's got the wingspan, he's not big. I think he's 6'2", 6'3", but he's got like a 6'8" wingspan. He's really great defensively. So he makes up for that with his defensive activity. He's really improved over the last 4 years as a 3-point shooter. So, you know, we're used to Melton when he was first here, couldn't shoot a lick, but now he's pretty reliable there. The problem is he's going to get more than that somewhere.
Yeah.
Like the Sixers have cap space to bring him back if they want. And even if they don't, another team is going to value his two-way play.
To me, though, that seems like a guy you might be able to convince on come and rehabilitate your value after the injuries and have a big impact and get the big deal next year. Maybe you could convince a guy who's gone through, that had injury issues last year that you're not going to maximize your value. Sure, you could get more than we're going to give you, but that's not going to be fully what you could get for your full value if you came here and had a Grayson Allen type season. That's a guy that I look at and go, okay, maybe you could convince in that way.
Again, another guy I love. I hate that he got away from us the way he got away from us.
Yeah.
He's developed incredibly well since the time he's left. I want to say that I'm just spitballing here. I want to say that this is the type of guy I think can command $6 to $8 million easy in this new NBA, right? So I think he's a little bit out of our price range, but I'm always fascinated with that guy who's gotten a little taste of this place, because in my past and relationships with people who have been here and left, I don't know many people who didn't enjoy their time here.
You mean the city?
Yeah, city.
I know plenty of people that didn't enjoy being in that organization.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
but it's completely different.
It's
now.
completely
Oh,
different.
no. I wanted to make sure that was what
city.
you were saying, the city.
Yeah,
So,
the city. I don't know too many people who didn't enjoy their time here that were here. And so I'm always fascinated with a decision like this where this guy's like, hey, I've been there. I really enjoyed my time there. This is an entirely different operation now. When I was there, we were looking at lottery balls, and now we're looking at potential championship opportunities. So interesting, but to Gerald's point, just a little reminder, if he signs a contract like that, he's playing for another contract outside of here. because we won't be able to pay him.
Yeah.
And so that's also a tricky dynamic. So for that reason, I think DeAnthony gets a deal somewhere else.
Enslow brought up an interesting name that we didn't have on the list. He said Dracula, but we got plenty of guys that already suck, so we don't need Dracula.
Oh,
Right?
ouch.
Damn, bro.
I think one thing that we just like the calling card of the Suns is either too early or too late.
Yeah.
Like we can never find the sweet spot when it comes to players around the league. We're either too early and we give up on them too fast, or we bring them in when it's too late.
There's only been one person that I think we properly had that exercise with, and it worked.
Who?
Steve Nash.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
fair.
Yeah.
Right? Steve Nash. Worked out.
All right. Next up, KCP, Contavious Caldwell Pope, averaged 10.1 points, 2.4 assists, 2.4 rebounds, 46% from the field, and 40.6% from deep. He's 31. He's a solid defender.
I love it. It would make Denver squirm. Anytime you can stick it to the Nuggets and our friends up there, you got to look into it. But I'm guessing this is a big old no, is what I'm guessing.
Well, yeah, because he's got, what is it, a $15.4 million player option. So he's either back with the Nuggets for that price, opting out to re-sign with the Nuggets, or get a payday that's even more somewhere else.
That's right.
He's not opting out of his player option with a team that he's won a title with just to take the vet minimum here. But I did want to bring him up because he's kind of the exact sort of 3-and-D archetype that you need. He's a guy that can knock down shots as a spot-up shooter. He's a guy who can take your point of attack assignments like a DeAnthony Melton or your wing assignments. He's experienced. He's played on multiple title teams. Like, he's kind of the archetype that you want to, okay, if we can find like 80% or 70% of what he brings on a vet min, that's pretty good.
So just remember this for a little while later in the show. Would not give up millions to leave a team that he won a championship with to take the vet minimum. Just remember that.
Yes, because we're about to contradict ourselves a little later.
LeBron James up next on
right now.
Vet Minimum Monday. 25.7 points per game, 8.3 assists, 7.3 rebounds, 54% from the field, 41% from deep. I don't know about you guys, but that screams vet men guy to me.
Well, I mean, anytime a player can give up millions for a team that they won a championship with and take the vet minimum, you have to do it, right? I mean, I think it's inevitable. And, sure, KCP wouldn't, but LeBron James is a different kind of person. So I say, hell yeah, he would. So.
I mean, if LeBron was as good as KCP, it'd be, but this guy's not.
How many drugs are you on for your back?
This guy LeBron, I mean, he's only 13 All NBA. He's still, I think he's lost a lot. And I think it's time to take.
Somebody's going to clip this.
You're going to take all
you're
not wrong.
Hey, please don't clip this. I'm joking. I'm on some pain meds, so I might be talking a little crazy right now. No, listen. All jokes aside, I know this seems absurd, and I know there's going to be people, we probably had this conversation ad nauseum already, but this is a unique situation, and such a unique situation that you have to bring it up. You have to talk about it. Dominoes have to fall. Some stars have to align. But the fact that we're actually seriously having this conversation, it kind of still blows my mind, but it's I think it's a real thing to consider.
I think Jeremy, the comments from Jeremy in the chat are hilarious. He says most likely odds of all of these so far somehow.
It's kind of crazy how that
right?
works out.
Can I real quick before I don't want to step on no one's toes, but this is the weird thing about it. So far with the people that we've said, who is clearly the best player on that list?
LeBron.
Okay. Ironically, of the people we've mentioned, I think the best shot to get any of those guys we mentioned is LeBron. So
it's a different situation.
It's a unique situation.
He's made so much money that sometimes when you hit that, when you have that FU money, you can make a decision that maybe isn't the logical one that people without money would make, but that you've hit that point where you could make that.
I think
about
that? It's obviously
I'm rolling money deep, so I know all about that. That's why I'm here with you.
What you think, G?
Well, I mean, the guy's a billionaire with a capital B, and I do think it's different because if you look at the teams, yes, he would have to sacrifice $48 million. That's a lot of money. And he, at no point in his career, has given a team a discount to help them out in that way. But I do think, like, if you look around the league, the teams that have max cap space outside of LA, the only one that was like a playoff team last year were the Magic and the Sixers. And I don't think LeBron would go to either of those places. So you're looking at a return to LA, which for me still feels like by far the most likely thing.
Yep.
Or coming to a place that has an opportunity to draft his son, that's only an hour and a half flight from LA, that would pair him with a big three right away where he could contend. That's been in an organization that is now much more attractive to star players with an aggressive owner. Like, I'm not saying that the Suns are the most likely place for him to end up, because we know if he signed here, it would be the most insane vet minimum signing in NBA history by far.
Yeah.
So it feels very unlikely to me.
They
But
probably all make rules about it too after that happens.
yes, but where there's smoke, there's usually some fire, and it's a little bit more than just, we're speculating at this point.
Well,
Agreed.
I also think the sales pitch is drastically different to LeBron than these guys, and you play up to not ego, but desire about legacy, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because if he comes in here and he wins a title with these guys, he gets to say, I did what KD and Book and Beal couldn't do by themselves. I came in here and I won this in my 40s.
And every
Cal-
other
carrying
big
these
name
guys.
too.
Yeah.
Steve Nash, Murray Stott, like you go all the way back.
Yeah, I did it in a city. I've now done it twice in a city that didn't know their ass from a championship trophy because they'd never won one. Right? I've come in and done that. So
Again, the uniqueness about this is that when you sit down and you weigh what is important to LeBron James at this point in his career, I think the three things you bring up, you obviously have to bring up money, family, legacy. The Lakers, I believe, provide the first thing, money, right? But this guy's a billionaire with a capital B, like Gerald said. When you say family and legacy, the Suns are very enticing. The opportunity to potentially play with your family and build on your legacy, get in that, that prestige room with Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, that one room that NBA players are exempt from, right? He's got a chance if he can go do something like that in Phoenix. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to be Bron. I mean, it's a tough decision. It's a tough decision. So
can we go back up to Jesus's comment here? He says, I'd rather the Suns don't win a championship than the Suns win one because of Bron. Jesus, I appreciate you being in the chat. I'm glad you're part of the community, but I would literally put any human being on this roster if it guaranteed me a championship. That's how low I am at this point.
I don't know if I go that far, but
I would.
I don't know about that.
I would. All right. If you said this person will guarantee you
Where's
a
that
title,
gif of me saying you're a liar?
I go,
Espo, 'cause
no,
we need to
no,
pull that back out again.
you know what? No, if I had that guarantee, I'm not saying, well, it could increase your chances. I'm saying if somebody came down and point blank said to me, you add this guy, the parade's here in June, I say, where do I sign? And if I have to do it in blood, I will.
I don't think you want to play this game because I'm not going to bring up the names that are going to make you squirm.
We have
but
a
we're not
super
doing that.
chat.
I got a name. I
No,
don't.
we're not doing
no.
that.
We have a super chat from James Johnson. They said, PHNX team, I wish the Bron thing is happening, but let's be real. Bron is staying. Junior will be selected by Lakers. James and Sun documentary will come out. Go Suns.
Again, I think that's the most likely scenario. But to all the people saying the Lakers are going to take Bronny at 17,
Let them know.
if
G.
LeBron has made up his mind that he's not coming back to the Lakers will know through back channels that using their number 17 pick on Bronny is not going to do anything for them.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. They're only going to do that if they think they have a chance at getting LeBron. And I think Bron is going to have his mind made up, or at least know which way he's leaning before the draft for that very reason.
New
Agreed.
Orleans did the Suns no favors by saying, no, we'll take the 2025 Lakers pick rather than the 2024, because they could have taken the 17th pick, and it changes the dynamics completely in that situation because they wouldn't have an opportunity to take Bronny. But yeah, draft night, I think you're going to know. I mean, it's going to become pretty clear if the Lakers pass at 17 and the Suns take him at 22. I think you can read tea leaves there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I know Suns basketball is over, but that doesn't mean basketball is over. If you're traveling, you got the finals. If you're local, you've got the Mercury. And of course, you can get the best deal on tickets with our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is one of the best places to get your tickets to sporting events, to concerts, to comedy shows, and so much more, because you basically get rewarded for being a procrastinator or for being spontaneous, because you can get even better deals when you buy last minute tickets using the Game Time app, up to 60% off buying last minute tickets. They also have flash deals, zone deals, all in pricing and seat views in the app as well. And of course, the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So if you have not already, make sure you take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply, but create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Plus, the app is super user friendly.
Gerald, me have good weekend. How about you?
That was good until now.
Oh, well, weekend ended before now, so I believe the saying is "screw you, Gerald." Me have good weekend. Me eat some chocolate chip cookies, but you know what go really well before eating chocolate chip cookies? Me have some OGs. Me love the OGs. Me love the OGs naturals, because as you know, Nookie Monster, he vegan. I can't say the other thing. I'll probably get sued. Yeah, me vegan, Nookie Monster vegan, you know. So me big about that. But me also love mega version, because it looks like giant cookie, right? And me love cookie. And it is very good. 100 milligram THC cut into 10 slices. The Henson Company eventually is going to sue me for this.
I think so.
And it is unbelievable. It has that raspberry orange RSO that stands for Rick Simpson oil for you that don't know, like Nookie do. And it's one of company's most popular products. Perforated, 10 slices, 10 milligram THC. Unbelievable. Go nice with cookie. So to learn more about OG's gummies and where you can find them, head to over to ogsbrands.com. Must be 21 or over to enjoy Nookie, like 40 something. So I good. And please enjoy your cookies and your OGs responsibly.
All right, next up on the list.
I really can't wait to get sued.
We've got Tobias Harris, average 17.2 points per game, 3.1 assists, 6.5 rebounds, 48.7% from the field, and 35.3% from deep. Tobias Harris, anyone?
Look, I've seen the people in the chat hate this idea. And I get it, but I feel like people are hating this idea because they're still judging him by his last contract.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, 5 years, 180 million? Like, that was obscene. That was insane. Yeah. They paid him way too much money. But at the same time, on a vet minimum, Tobias Harris was still a guy that put up 17 and 6 last year.
Oh.
Like, he's got his faults for sure. But if you could get a guy like that for the vet minimum, that would be pretty nice.
We would have taken a guy getting 7 and 6 for the vet minimum last year. And now we're complaining if Tobias Harris has a brain injury and decides that he wants to take the vet minimum. Come on, guys. Like, that would be one of the few things that you go, yeah, that was a hell of a move, because you're getting a guy that's worth a hell of a lot more, but maybe he feels guilty because of that last contract he took and wants to give back to the people.
Oh, man.
Listen, I love Tobias. I think Tobias is a really good basketball player. Now, that to your point, G, can't blame the dude for getting money, man.
Right.
Like, the team decided that was the right move. That's their fault. I'm not blaming Tobias. I mean, yeah, he's relative to his salary, he kind of feels a little bit like the conversation we're having with Brad Beal. You know, Brad Beal's still a very good basketball player, but people connect his $50 million and say, you know, he's not a good basketball player, which isn't true. So, man, I love Tobias. I'd do it every day of the week, twice on Sunday, if I can get Tobias for a minimum, but we're not.
Yeah.
We're not. Tobias, Tobias Harris is too much of a good basketball player. Has too much left in the tank to take a minimum.
I want to do a video series where it's you and I going in to pitch these guys, and we just try to make a sales pitch to each of these potential vet minimum
I like
guys.
that idea.
I'll even suit
that's
up.
good content.
Yeah. And I get, like, some people in the chat are bringing up he doesn't really provide what they need. I get that to an extent. You're looking for defensive-minded wings and size and all that. He does have size. He does provide rebounding. And even if he's like a 8th, 9th, 10th man on the roster, that's a pretty good 8th, 9th, 10th man on the roster to have, a guy that could be a double-digit scorer off the bench. Because how many times did we talk about the creation off the bench wasn't the best? Like, he could help there.
This was a team where fans were going, please play Isaiah Thomas off the bench so there's offense.
Yeah.
Beggars can't be choosers, all right?
Yeah.
All right, next up, Derek Jones Jr., another one of those guys who, too early, maybe a little bit, airplane mode, averaged 8.6 points per game, 1 assist per game, 3.3 rebounds, shot 48.3% from the field, 34.3% from deep. But in the playoffs, he bumped those numbers up a little bit. He's been playing out incredible for the Mavs, so that's going to be hard. Playoff stats here: 9.8 points, 3.4 rebounds, 1.1 blocks per game, 49.2% shooting overall, and 39.6% from three.
I loved him heading into this playoff stretch, and now there's no way it's happening. Like, the Mavs are going to find a way to keep him on a much higher contract than a vet minimum, which is unfortunate because we've seen him over the last couple of years kind of blossom as, he was already a good defender when he was here, but he's gotten even better. He wants to be back with the Dallas Mavericks, and he's balling out for them in the playoffs right now. Like, him being able to knock down the open threes that he's getting all day is huge for Dallas. So he's not going anywhere. Loved airplane mode, though. Had to throw him a shout out because he is, again, like, if you look at last year when they got him for a vet minimum, he's the type that you were hoping that you can get if you're the Suns. You can find a vet minimum guy who drastically outperforms that contract. We thought we had one last year with Keita Bates-Diop or Yuta. Some of those guys, they didn't pan out. So you're hoping for a Derek Jones Jr.-like scenario this summer.
Derek Jones Jr., everyone had the opportunity to get him, right? He landed in the right spot, worked out for Dallas. He's playing terrific. He ain't going nowhere. Airplane mode, shout out, a lot of respect. Here's the thing. We hit that a couple years ago. We did that with campaign, right?
Yeah.
This is. I look at Derek Jones Jr. and I'm seeing different players, but the circumstances looking very similar. It's like, you know what? We went out there, we got this guy. He's outplayed his contract, and now he's going to be around for a little bit. And good for them. Like I said, we did that with campaign, and we haven't been able to quite get there again yet. But that's just why what makes the summer intriguing, because believe it or not, there are people out there this year that are not getting talked about, that are in the same realm of campaign and airplane mode. And somebody's going to land them. And we'll be sitting in these chairs at this time next year talking about who that next guy is. Who he is, I don't know. That's for the Phoenix Suns scouting department and those guys to figure out. But he ain't going nowhere.
That dude in the chat says Grayson was that guy, to be honest. Yeah, not a vet minimum, obviously, but a guy that you kind of you got thinking it was more of a, it's another piece in a larger deal. All right. But turned into that guy. Like, to me, what a lot of this says, and looking at what Dallas did with airplane mode, is this is a crapshoot. It's very much like the draft, trying to build a bench out of vet minimum guys. There's a lot of factors that things can look really good, like they did day one of free agency legal tampering last year for the Suns, but it all nets out in weird ways. And Derek Jones, to your point, Derek Jones Jr. could have been had by the Suns. It could have been had by 28 other teams, and they didn't get him either. So.
All right. Next up on the list, we've got Kyle Anderson, 6.4 points per game, 4.2 assists per game, 3.5 rebounds, 46% from the field, 22.9 from deep.
This is starting to feel more realistic. I think the Timberwolves might want to bring him back, but at the same time, We don't know what their ownership situation is going to look like. They're about to be in the luxury tax for just the second time since like 2008.
Yeah.
So they've got some question marks to answer. They've got most of their core under contract. They might try to replace what Anderson brings somewhere else on the market for a vet minimum. And I don't know if Anderson is going to have like an extensive market. I think he'll get more than the vet min, but this is a guy that can come in off your bench. He has size at 6'9". He can be kind of a point forward for your second unit a little bit there. And he's defensively, he was the only guy in that Mavs series that wasn't getting torched by Luka Doncic the entire time. He was kind of their go-to guy. And obviously you can't stop Luka with anybody, but he's a good two-way player, even though his flaws like not being able to shoot, how he does everything in slow motion.
Slow-mo.
Those are well documented, but a useful utility player off the bench.
I love him. I've been watching him since he was a kid. St. Anthony's Friars, shout out Bob Hurley. He's just one of those guys that, his value's between the ears, very much so. Very cerebral player, well respected. Every locker room he's in, people love slow-mo. I wonder with Bud in this new system and how much we're expected to shoot the three ball more. How much that kind of messes with his fit, right? Because that 22.9 is pretty bad. But everything else he does, to your point, G, switchable defender, cerebral, good locker room guy. I love all that stuff. So if we can get slow-mo here, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying, what I would hate is to have a guy like slow-mo fall into the Josh Okogie situation here, because Josh is a good basketball player, man. It's just the 3-point shooting is pretty much how everyone judges him.
Is there a more insulting nickname? I think it's that slow-mo and Big Baby.
I mean, I think he likes it because he
loves
does
slow-mo.
play like when he drives, it's very slow and methodical. I think it's intentional part of his game.
Yeah, it is. He's been doing it forever, G.
It just feels like on its surface, it feels like Big Baby, which and then enjoy prison.
I don't want to step on. I gotta say this. That's not something new. This kid's been playing like that since high school. It's a weird thing, but he's always had that dynamic. Joe Johnson had a little bit of that in him too. He's had a little slow-mo in him.
All right, Spencer Dinwiddie, 10.5 points per game, 4.7 assists, 2.7 rebounds, 39.2% from the field, and 33.7% from deep.
Go ahead.
This is the one that's intriguing to me.
Okay.
I swear, this is the one that I think one of the deals in the summer. This is going to be the situation where you're going to look and you're going to say, this guy should get more. This guy should get more. But does he wait too long? Does he fall into that situation where the money's dried up? And does he take that little leap and say, I'm going to go to Phoenix and rebuild my situation a little bit? This one I'm very intrigued by. And to top it off, he's the ultimate fucking Suns killer. He just loves coming to Phoenix and beating our asses. So this one I'm very intrigued by. I'm going to be monitoring this one closely.
I'd love to have him on this team, but it does feel like another guy that you've circled around for a while and is probably too late, honestly.
Maybe.
Where when he was flirting with you 3-4 years ago, may have made more of an impact. But this is the reality of it. You're going to have to take a guy like that, hope he finds a little bit of what used to make him so special, and that he can help you off the bench. And this is starting to feel more realistic than others.
Yeah. I mean, he did play, he finished out the third year of his bigger contract with the Nets, got bought out, signed with the Lakers for less than the vet minimum because that's what they had left of their MLE to offer him. So his value is definitely a lot lower than it was, but you're right, Espo. He's not the player he was, but that's also kind of the point of this exercise, is to illustrate, the guys that are on the rise, the good guys, you're probably not getting them for the vet minimum. You're probably going to have to take a swing on a guy like a Dinwiddie or someone whose value is not as high and hope that he's able to replicate his play from a couple of seasons ago. Dinwiddie has size. He's 6'5". A lot of people don't realize that. So he's able to see over the top of defenses, able to get his shot off against most defenders most of the time. So he creates mismatches in that way, but he's never been really efficient in his career. He shot the 3-ball well when he was with the Lakers, but didn't shoot the ball well all season last year. So again, it's one of those things where like you're hoping that the weaknesses aren't as strong and the strengths come back.
You got his age?
He is how old
45.
is he now? He's not that old. I'll look it up, but he's 31.
Yeah, so he's still got
Which is
some
crazy.
basketball in his tank. Yeah,
He's a
still
guy
got
that
some
feels like he's been
basketball.
around forever.
I think it's funny how the chat was like, we want some more realistic ones. And then it's like, these
not
make me
him.
sad.
But not him though.
Go
Wait.
back to the less realistic ones. I changed my mind.
My favorite was
Can
Ted.
relate.
And Ted, all respect, but Dinwiddie is slightly better than Reggie Jackson at this point in his career. Solid point guard, but not a difference maker. Honestly, that last part I would take compared to some of the production you got last year out of vet minimum guys.
And
So,
again, real quick, not a difference maker. Can anybody honestly say that when the Mavericks signed Derrick Jones Jr., people were saying that's a difference maker,
Right.
Right? So this is why
Yeah.
we got to chill a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, last on the list for right now, and then we have a few other things. Jetty Osman, 6.8 points per game, 1.7 assists, 2.5 rebounds, 47.9% from the field, 38.9% from D. 29.
I like this. This is probably one of the more realistic options on the list, and it's one of the ones that I actually like. Getting him for the vet minimum would be good value. And I think there's a chance that it doesn't happen because the Spurs have a ton of cap space. They liked him last year. Maybe if it's only like $5 or $6 million, that's still more than what the Suns can offer just to bring him back on a multi-year deal. But he hasn't turned 30 yet. Like he's a 6'7" forward. You need more wing size. He can knock down the 3-ball shot at a 39% clip. He's a good finisher around the basket as well, which is really impressive. I think he shot 74% at the rim last year. We know the Suns need to put more pressure on the rim. So this is one of my favorite ones from the list that might be kind of realistic.
This is the first one that the chat's like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. More than not
Yeah,
on this one.
we'll take it.
Would do this one.
Well,
Yes.
I'm with the chat. This is the first one I go, is it possible? Yes. Would I want him? Yes. Right. But can we put the picture back up? Yeah, just one more time.
What's that?
He looks like Jason Momoa with worst genetics, right? I mean, he's got the hair, the beard, the look, and then just not the body there. So
I love this. This is very realistic. This is also one of the ones when I saw the list, I'm like, yeah, that's one I'm very intrigued with. He's got the size, he can shoot, he's got sneaky athleticism. He's still got he's 29, you said, so still relatively young, a lot of basketball in him. And I guess the thing with this one is this one feels like they've been behind the scenes trying to get this guy in Phoenix for quite some time. So this one does feel a lot more realistic just because when you start to have those conversations, you start to build relationships with the players and the agents, and having those background conversations kind of means something when you get to this point. So I would say Jetty knows Phoenix has been fascinated with him for a little bit, and maybe that's where you get a little bit of a discount. You're like, these guys have been knocking around for quite some time. Let's get the shit done. Let's go there and do it. He'd be a welcome addition. This is a guy that I'd be really excited about.
and Jay and Enslow hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
A LeBron guy.
There you go.
Okay, so
All
a couple
come together.
things from the chat. Jeremy said, honestly, and this was before we got to Jetty, but just a little bit ago, Jeremy said, honestly, makes more sense to trade Nurk for role players than go with these vet mins to fill a roster. Well, Jeremy, these were pie in the sky mostly. We kind of started at the top and worked our way down. Some of the names we threw out at the beginning of this exercise were highly unlikely to sign per vet.
Yeah, if you don't like these vet men,
Right.
Just
you
wait
got some
until
weeks
next
coming up.
wait until next Monday when we get into even more realistic ones. But the purpose of bringing up your comment was we did do a Trade Machine Tuesday for Yusuf Nurkic last week. If you missed it, we have a podcast and an article over at gophnx.com with some trades around Nurk that you could take a peek at. And and then Casham said trade Grayson for a real 3-and-D guy. He'd get a good player back. We can't trade Grayson until October, late October, right?
Mid-October, yeah. But he will be the subject of our
He
Trade Machine
definitely
Tuesday tomorrow. So I'll be coming up with trades that we might be able to explore in October. Some of these we're going to have to revamp as we go along because based on what guys sign for in free agency. And then when they become trade eligible, that could change the equation. But we are going to go through Grayson Allen trade options tomorrow and see how that turns out. Because so far, the Trade Machine Tuesdays have been a little rough.
If you felt bad about the list today, feel even worse by going back and watching the NERC and seeing what we come up for Grayson. So.
But Grayson is going to be one of the guys that's talked about a lot next season, especially ahead of the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Regardless of how he's playing, I feel like
Of course.
he's going to be in the conversations because who else are you going to have in the conversations?
Right.
Of course.
Just one of those things. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, y'all?
Got one more super chat from
we
our
do.
friend Saint Shitbag.
Sorry, Saint.
Stanley Johnson looked good in the G League. Maybe worth another look. I hear Stanleys are hot right now, so why not?
But
I mean, this is the world we live in.
I mean, we got a G League team now, so we can
That's
definitely
true.
bring them over, let them play in the with the Valley Suns and get a real deep look at them. So yeah,
I mean, again, you're gonna have to find a diamond in the rough, somebody that. And I apologize. I don't mean this disrespectfully, but off the scrap heap in some, off the basketball scrap heap in some ways that can actually maybe
and they're out
find
there.
something.
And they're out there.
I mean, I'm not going to scoff at anybody. We just went through a whole list that was unlikely. So, I mean, you're probably going to look at some guys like Stanley Johnson's.
Yeah, I would look.
every option.
Yes.
Yeah, I would look. 100%.
You gotta. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you very much for being here. If you are on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. It helps us out a lot. We appreciate it. If you're listening, wherever you get your podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. And of course, give the show a follow on social at PHNX_Suns. You can also follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. You can follow Flex at Flex from Jersey. And you can follow Espo at Espo. Espo, take us home.
Everybody loved the original, so here's the remix. That minimum Monday. That minimum Monday.
Guess home, Eric, please.
Ahoy, hoy. That minimum Monday. That minimum Monday. That minimum Monday. That minimum Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.